One, two. Erin,
Hi,
what's up?
Emmy.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk about this one today. Welcome to the
Yes.
Video and Vinyl Club, everyone. I'm Emmy Wildwood. I am a musician, a producer, an artist, art director, all of those things. And this is my phenomenally phenomenal co-host, Erin Mars.
Hi, I'm Erin Mars. I'm a writer, director, musician, and so many more things. And today, a podcaster with the beautiful and talented Emmy Wildwood. So thank you to our audience, our listeners, for joining us for another special episode of the Video and Vinyl Club.
Today starts our new quick series. We're going to call them quickies. So when you look in the podcast listings there, you'll see the episode as a quickie. And we're just going to dive into some classic films that star musicians. So musicians in movies. And our very first pick today was Erin's pick.
Yes.
She has wanted to do this film for a really long time. And I will let her tell you why in a little bit. But this is Tremors.
Tremors.
It is a cult classic horror comedy, and it came out in 1990, and it stars Kevin Bacon, Fred Ward, and a bunch of other people, but our musician in this movie is Reba McEntire.
The wonderful and talented Reba McEntire, the one and only.
Reba.
I love Reba. I'm just going to
Yes.
quickly say this right at the top. One of the first concerts I went to when I was a kid, maybe it was actually, I don't know. There's two first concerts I had, but like the Reba, I think she might have been actually my first concert. I went with a bunch of my friends. I think I was, I don't know, 11. My dad took us, and it was still, I think back on that show, seeing her perform, mind blowing. She did all this dancing. She drove a cab out onto the stage. Years later, I went to see a Lady Gaga show. Guess what? Lady Gaga drove a cab out onto the stage. I was like, hey, seen this. I've seen this setup. Reba McEntire did this like 10 years ago. I've seen this. Okay. I've seen this before. You're stealing ideas from Reba. She's a powerhouse, and she has been making music for a very long time. So we'll get more into her, but we're going to start with the movie, which is, as Emmy said, this is a cult classic. This is a cult classic monster movie. The fact that it has so many spin-offs and prequels and sequels and then a TV show spin-off, it's fun. It's a really, really fun film. If you haven't seen this film, go see this film. Rent it. It's just a great, easy, you don't got to go deep with this one.
That's right. Which is why it's perfect for a quickie episode. But when I was looking it up to watch it again, I saw there's like five. There's a sequel, there's a prequel, there's a five-equal. I don't know what you call that.
Oh,
number
yeah,
five.
totally.
There's like lots of parts. I'll tell you why. So, Tremors is a story about two handymen, Val McKee, played by Kevin Bacon, and Earl Bassett, played by Fred Ward, and they are living in the small desert town of Perfection, Nevada. Now, I immediately looked it up to see if Perfection existed, and it doesn't. It is a fictional town. But
it's a great name for a town, though, especially in a monster movie. It's like,
oh, yeah.
Wonderful name.
That's exactly right. And they are sick and tired of their everyday handyman jobs. They're, the movie opens and they're literally pumping sewage out of somebody's giant tank. Now, I was telling Erin that I've spent some time in small desert towns. I am from the desert. And
you are, yeah.
Yes. And as a little kid, when I saw this the first time, I don't know that I thought about how much I could relate to it, but I will say that watching it now, it's like the desert is scary. It can be a scary place. So Val and Earl, they want to leave their dead-end jobs and go off to greener pastures, but their departure is interrupted when mysterious deaths deaths and bizarre occurrences start to plague the town. Now, it's so funny because
Hmm.
basically, like, there's a gaggle of characters in this movie, and they all hang out at what is essentially like a truck stop combo, diner combo,
Grocery store
grocery
combo.
store.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of everything
It's like a
together.
it's almost like if it was New York, it's like the bodega.
That's
It's
right.
basically the
The
desert bodega.
the bodega, but like if there was like a New York travel 42nd Street travel shop attached, and I don't know. Anyways, it's funny. It's really, really funny to see all the characters because they are not unlike a gaggle of characters you might find at a desert truck stop, all hanging out together.
Verified.
Um,
Been verified by our desert queen. Okay.
Right. And so it sounds like every year in this small town, a someone like a seismologist comes. This is somebody who comes to measure frequencies in the earth, way out in the desert where it's quiet. And they have like a student come out and do that every year. And this year it is a girl, a female.
Hmm.
And so Val and Earl are very excited, and they meet her in the beginning. It's Rhonda, who's played by Finn Carter. And anyways, all together, this gaggle of characters, Rhonda, the new seismologist student in town, and
Hmm.
Val and Earl start to try and unravel why all these weird deaths are happening and why all these strange occurrences are happening. And I'm telling you, like, death after death happens right away. And now this movie is described on Amazon as a science fiction movie, which is
Mm.
uh
Well, it could be possible.
which it could be possible. So it takes not very long for them to figure out, and a lot of bloody sort of interactions for them to finding a lot of dead people to figure out that there is a big old creature
Yeah,
underneath the
something's going
dirt.
on.
Yeah,
Hmm.
underneath the dirt, feeding off the people of this town, and they are attracted to vibrations.
Hmm.
So they name them. There's a whole scene where they're like, we discovered them, we get to name them, and they name them graboids. And basically, a graboid is a giant under the earth sandworm. And when I say giant, I mean like bigger than a whale, huge, long, giant sandworm that looks like a snake, like a sand snake, like a desert snake. Blech! And its mouth opens like a terrifying desert snake, and more snakes pop out. So it's a snake with a million snakes inside.
Oh yeah, this is a classic monster take, I think, for right around that time. I mean, Alien had come out in, I think like 1980 or 1979. And with the alien monster, for people who are familiar, the alien monster, it opens its mouth and then another little head and mouth come out. So the idea of like the double mouth kind of thing, I think was part of the zeitgeist of monsters, just as a
Mm-hmm.
thing. So I loved that because it's like it's gross and then it's extra gross.
Yeah. It is gross. And they're doing a lot of shooting snakes in half in this movie, or graboids, if you will.
Yeah.
They spend the whole movie trying to outwit this terrifying snake inside a snake inside a snake Russian doll monster.
Yeah, it
Uh
totally is. Yeah.
it is a very beloved movie. And really quickly, I just want to tell you one story, which is that I saw this movie at a holiday party that my dad's office was having in, it was like the year 1990, so I was a very small child.
Mhm.
And they let this party was in the Hilton Hotel, like the most 80s Hilton hotel. Like I think of like crystal chandeliers and glass elevators. I mean, it was so 80s. And they rented a hotel room for all the kids of the parents, and they put on Tremors. And we watched Tremors at this Christmas party with a babysitter, an office babysitter. And I was terrified,
This is
so
the height
scared.
of high class. That
Yes,
sounds
it is.
yeah. That's
It's
like
so
very
funny.
fancy.
Yeah, and watching the movie, by the way, it's like, oh my gosh, so much 80s nostalgia. Like there is Crush on the counter. By the way, Crush is making a comeback this year. Just like side note, they're bringing it back. But Crush soda they're drinking. They are wearing,
Delicious soda.
oh yeah,
Delicious soda.
so good.
Yeah.
They're wearing trucker hats. That's why I wore my trucker hat today
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, oh yeah, desert people.
Mm-hmm.
That's my
Mm-hmm.
people. And they are wearing tight jeans and they're wearing giant belt buckles and they're driving monster trucks, trucks on giant wheels with giant headlights on top of the car and long shorts and ringer t-shirts and all
Yeah,
these
it's kind of
amazing.
amazing to look at the style of the
Yeah.
way the characters are dressed because so much of that is like in right now as just
Yeah.
like the aesthetic. That it's absolutely hilarious. I mean, this is like 1990. The 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 vibes are just so there,
Mhm.
so there.
And so, since this is a quickie, we're going to jump right into Reba's character. Now, Reba is not, watching it, I was like, Reba is not a huge character in this movie. She's one of the gaggle of people who hang out at this shop. She's a townie, if you will. That's what I would call these people. And she is a badass. She is saving people with giant shotguns. She's blowing up snakes with shotguns and just generally saving people being a badass. So,
Yeah, she really takes it's almost like a female Indiana Jones take. Her and her husband in the film, who's played by Michael Gross, they're the two people who happen to have like a huge gun collection and are like the
yeah.
hunters of the people in the
Yes.
town. So they're very, very comfortable with firearms. And everybody around who's like, these people might be a little bit crazy, suddenly are like pounding on their door because they're like, that's where we need to go because those people are going to be able to protect us from the giant worm with mini worms coming out of it. They're gonna figure out how to get rid of it. So
By the way, Reba has the cutest bangs in this movie, and she's wearing a fanny pack the entire time, and she's wearing pleated khakis like a explorer with huge white 80s Reebok tennis shoes.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So cute.
She she is she is so cute and she's so sweet.
Yeah.
Like her character, even though it's just like, we gotta get these guns, y'all. Let's go hunting. Very,
Yeah.
very sweet as like this southern character that's somehow there. What I think is really fun to just kind of note about this film is that this was the first film directed by Ron Underwood. And it was for him not necessarily a huge commercial success, but it got a lot of critical acclaim and it has become a cult classic. The film that he directed right after that, which got him more box office, you know, bonuses or it was a bigger box office success. That's how people say it did
Mhm.
better at the box office was City Slickers. So he's got this
Mm.
thing, he's it,
He's
which
a
again,
desert guy.
desert,
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of fun to just kind of note that.
Yeah. So tell us about Reba's music career and why you love her so much.
Okay, so I don't know how, honestly, I started listening to Reba when I was like in elementary school. I really do not know how. I think it was maybe I found a cassette or something, or just I really don't remember. But somehow I got really into her music to the point where by fifth grade, my dad took me and a bunch of my friends to see Reba McEntire perform in Rhode Island. And like I said at the top of the podcast, amazing, amazing show. She's definitely a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful performer. She's also
Mhm.
an actor, as we know. She's been dubbed the Queen of Country. She's sold over 75 million records worldwide since the 70s. She's placed over 100 singles on Billboard, on the Hot Country charts.
Wow.
25 of those were in the number one spot,
What? 25
and
number ones?
25 number ones.
That is crazy.
Yep, she's had her own TV show called Reba, which had 6 seasons. She owns a bunch of different businesses, including restaurants and clothing lines. She was born and raised in Oklahoma. And with her mother's help and her siblings formed a group called the Singing McEntire, which they played at local events and recorded for a small label. McEntire later enrolled in the Southeastern Oklahoma State University and studied to become a public school teacher. She continued to perform and was heard singing at a rodeo event by country performer Red Steagall,
I
and
don't
he
know
was
who that
drawn
is.
to her voice, and he helped her secure a country music recording contract with Polygram Mercury Records in 1975.
Ooh.
So in that year, she relocated from Oklahoma to Nashville with her mom. And then over the next few years, she released a series of McEntire albums and singles, which amounted to not a lot of success. But in the early 80s, Reba McEntire's music gained more momentum through several top 10 country songs, including You Lift Me Up to Heaven, I'm Not That Lonely Yet, and her first number one, Can't Even Get the Blues. Yet she was increasingly, as these things were, going better, she was still just like increasingly unhappy with her career trajectory. So she changed labels. She then signed to MCA Records in 1984. And
Mhm.
her second MCA album, My Kind of Country, became her breakout release. So that had two number ones on Billboard country singles, and it pointed her towards a more traditional musical style. And then throughout the
Mhm.
80s, she released seven more studio albums, had 10 more number one country hits. Her number one singles included One Promise Too Late. Are you familiar with
Mhm.
that song?
No.
Oh, you came along, one promise too late. It's about, yeah, I love that song. It's about meeting someone after you've married somebody else. And so it's like
Oh,
you
yeah.
kind of, you immediately like, oh my God, I should have married this other person or like given this other thing a chance, but you came along, one promise too late.
Do you know the one
Um,
I know?
which one?
I too had a Reba cassette that I wore
Okay.
out
Which one do you
when I wore
know?
out, but I don't really remember. But the song that I loved was Daddy's hand softened. And when I was crying, Daddy's hands cold as steel when I done wrong.
Ooh, I don't know if I know that one. I
I
don't know
don't
if I
know.
listened to that
It's
record.
probably a B-side.
Oh, I like it. Um, so a few of her other number one singles at that point were The Last One to Know, which was about a
Mm,
husband who's cheating on you and everybody in the town knows, but you're the last one to know. And then there's the Grammy winning Whoever's in New England. Do you know that one?
no.
When whoever's in New England's through with you,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Boston's found better things to do, you
Wow.
know it's not too late, 'cause you'll always have a place to come back to. I love that song and
I like
still
your
know all the,
country voice.
yeah, yeah, I should have been a
That's
country
good.
star.
Yeah.
Um,
You should have been a country
not
star.
too late, not too late.
Never.
Can always start that career now.
Never.
Always time to branch out. Then in 91, she lost eight members of her band. This was very tragic for her. There was a plane crash in San Diego. And so eight members of the band that she had been playing with for a long time died very suddenly.
Wow.
And that experience led her to create another critically acclaimed album called For My Broken Heart. That is her highest selling album to date. And she followed it with several commercially successful albums during the 90s. Read My Mind, What If It's You, I See Him. And then these albums featured some other number one country singles. The Heart is a Lonely Hunter. Come on, you know that one.
I think so, but I can't right
Okay.
now. You
The
go.
heart is a lonely hunter with only one desire. Oh,
This
yeah,
is the
I
clip
could
for
keep going.
Instagram,
Yeah.
biatches.
Yeah. Then there's another one called How Was I to Know?
I
She
know
did
that one.
you know that one? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Sing it. Do you know it? Sing
No,
it.
no, no, no.
Okay. Then she did a duet with Brooks and Dunn called If You See Him, If You See Her. And then in 1990, that's when she really started her acting career with Tremors. So that was like the
Yeah.
first big film she was in. Later in 2001, she went on to play the role of Annie Oakley in the Broadway musical Annie Get Your Gun. And
Great.
in the same year, the WB launched her television series, Reba,
Which
in
was
which
not
she
bad.
starred. No,
It
it
was
wasn't bad.
not, it was good. It made me laugh. I remember turning it on and being like laughing out loud and being like, whoa, why is this so funny? Like
Yeah.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, keep going.
And then, she continues to act. She's guest starred on Young Sheldon as June Ballard. And in 2023 and 2024, from season 24 to 26, Reba was featured as a coach on The Voice.
Yeah, and I watched it.
So that's a little bit about Reba McEntire. And I just have to say, I've seen her perform now quite a few times.
Yeah.
She's like my secret. It's funny because
Favorite.
yeah, she's like a secret favorite. That's not somebody I bring up to people ever and it's like, oh, my favorite artist is Reba McEntire. Never. Like it just never comes up in conversation. But
Yeah.
if I'm like cleaning the house or I'm like, driving and I'm just like, what am I gonna listen to? Like, yeah, I'll throw on Read My Mind. I'll throw that album on. I love it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's fun when you have a record that you know so well that you can sing all the songs along
Oh, yeah.
and all the words. It's really cool. So anyway, I think that's pretty much our quickie for today.
I love it. That was really good. I think that I'm gonna be really happy to be doing this more and more because it's fun to just like brush up on your musician history and it's hard to even know where to start. And so it's fun to just find a subject like this. Well, let's talk more about musicians who've been in films. So,
Yeah.
anyways, okay, I think that's it for today because that's what makes it a quickie.
That is what makes it a quickie. So thanks for tuning in. And if you have a film that stars a musician or a musician is in that you would like us to review and talk about, please hit us up with that suggestion. And you can always review and follow and comment about the podcast. We love to hear feedback. And we are so, so, so grateful to have our wonderful and very hip listeners like you at the
That-
Video and Vinyl Club.
That's right. Just a bunch of nerds being badass nerds
Yeah.
together.
Thanks for listening to the Video and Vinyl Club. That's my Reba.
That was your Reba close. I love it.
That was my Reba close.
Bye.
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 1, 2.